What's going on, Concept family? My name is Cash and I'm here with another reaction video. Today we're going to be looking at 15 strangest places where people actually live. I know y'all wondering where Droopy is. Right now he's taking a nap. Next time, we'll have him in the video. But until then, hopefully y'all enjoy this video. Let's go ahead and get started.
There are wonderful places scattered throughout the world. But there are always two sides of a coin. For every beautiful place, there is an equally strange one waiting to be uncovered. So if you've ever wondered what weird locations the world hides from us, then pay attention. From Darby Island, a Caribbean Nazi island, to the hanging temple of Hangsha, here are the 15 strangest places where people actually live. Number 15. Castle on Big Darby Island. In the Caribbean Sea lies a creepy abandoned castle on top of an island owned by an alleged Nazi sympathizer, with remains of its dark past still lurking around every corner.
Looks very deserted.
Darby Island. When Sir Guy Baxter was given a knighthood, he was also given an entire island on top of the title by his king, King George of England. In 1938, Baxter built a lucrative 8,000 square foot castle at the highest point of the island to have phenomenal panoramic views from almost every window. Baxter turned the island into a money-making plantation with livestock, cotton, palm oil, and more.
Definitely looks haunted.
Baxter was also apparently a Nazi sympathizer and would allegedly use his residence to help his German friends. Some elderly locals reported seeing strange flashing lights from the castle's rooftop during the war, with people suspecting Baxter was guiding German submarines which were lurking in the Atlantic Ocean, guiding them to the island's collection of caves. There are still suspiciously giant poured concrete moorings on the island, which were thought to have been used by the Nazi submarines. With 554 acres of paradise, 14 beaches, and a disused airstrip, there was certainly enough room for Baxter's alleged Nazi friends to spend the night unseen by locals. The island and castle are currently on the market and available to buy if you have $39 million to spare.
39 million.
This video, man will come from under your bed while you're sleeping. Number 14. Hanging Temple of Hangsha. Just the sight of the Hanging Temple of Hangsha is enough to strike fear into any height-fearing person. The whole temple sticks out of the rocky cliff more than 50 meters above the ground.
Building definitely looks deep.
This bizarrely located place of worship has more to offer than the fact that it's clinging onto the cliffside.
Hold up. And due to that reason alone, and hanging along the cliff, I couldn't see myself just, walking directly across the way that it's built. I would definitely spend a lot of time being nervous. That just doesn't look safe, but okay.
The temple is the only one around that is dedicated to three religions. Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism are all worshipped within its walls. This also played a key role in the survival of the temple throughout the years and the various religious dynasties running the land. When a Buddhist government comes along, they leave it alone due to its Buddhist links, and the same for Taoism and Confucianism. Talk about a people pleaser. Constructed in the late Northern Wei dynasty, the Hanging Temple has appeared to defy gravity for over 1,500 years. You want to know a secret? The visible pillars don't actually do anything and are only really there to calm visitors' nerves. The structure's real magic lies in its 27 cantilevers, which are inserted deeply into the cliffside. Cantilevers are a staple in the construction world, where the beam is built into the wall and one end sticks outward into the air. The temple is obviously still an impressive sight, as it was selected by Times Magazine as one of their top 10 unique and precipitous architectures in 2010.
Hopefully they don't fall.
Number
Hopefully they
13,
keep up the maintenance on that.
Al-Hajra, ancient village on a cliff, Yemen. If you like minimalism, then I've got a village for you. Stone
They
houses
camera.
decorated in coats of white paint and small glassless windows overlooking the beautiful countryside of Yemen are everywhere you look in this part of the country. These towering houses, which get dangerously close to the cliff's edge, are what makes Al Hajarah famous, and it's easy to see why. Charm seems to beam from every cobbled turn of this village, which was founded in the 12th century by the Sulahids.
Definitely looks
More
old.
than just a pretty village, the fortress played a crucial role in the occupation of Yemen by the Ottomans due to its ideal overlooking location and strategic advantage. As well as being handy for war, the village is also decent for nipping to the market, as the village is only a 5-kilometer walk from the popular village of Manakah. From Manakah, you can explore the Haraz Mountains and its various markets and hotels, meaning there's always something to do and adventures to be had. The Haraz Mountains wouldn't be a bad idea, with the colossal mountains looking like the most relaxing place to go for a stroll to relax on and soak up its tranquil natural beauty. It's weird to think that places like this vast expanse and New York's Times Square are on the same planet. Number 12. Rusino Monastery. Located high above the ground and neatly on a freestanding rock is a monastery that looks like it's straight out of a Hollywood movie about a Shaolin master. Although the place may look very cool and grand, it's probably not the best of places to stay if you're a sleepwalker. It must be incredible to wake up every morning to such stunning views of the Greek countryside, with cliffs towering above from all sides swarming you in its immense beauty. The holy monastery of Rusino looks really old, and that's because it is. The monastery is
high places, man.
Established way back in the 12th century when it was founded around 15.
I mean, I don't necessarily have a fear of heights to a certain extent. You know, I don't know, man. It's just something about being that high. I don't know. Maybe it's not as bad like if you're actually up there, but I mean, from afar, it just, I don't know. We'll see one day.
5 by Maximos and Eoasaph of Ioannina. Compared to other monasteries on rocks around the globe, the Rusino Monastery is actually quite low to the ground. This closeness to the sea level has its benefits.
That definitely looks nice.
This lower elevation making it much more accessible for people who wish to visit. The monastery sadly came under extreme damage during World War II, and whilst it was founded by monks, they have recently left the premises, and since 1988, the place has been converted into a convent. Today, more than 15 nuns live and worship in the unusual monastery. Number 11. Sealand de las Bodegas. Most people don't even like walking or driving past the bottom of a cliff. So imagine living at the base of one.
Oh, wow.
For the residents of Sealand de las Bodegas, that is very much their reality.
So if there's like a earthquake or something, and all that comes down, everybody under there is like SOL, basically. SOL.
Located in the south of Spain, people have to make do with their stoned neighbors, as it is an overwhelming part of the identity of the place. I'm sure when they tell people where they live, all they have to do is say, the town at the bottom of the cliff.
I'm sure
9 times out of 10, the other person would immediately know what place they're on about.
Right.
The presence of the cliff is so great that one whole block of the town is engulfed by the stone, with the cliff literally being the roofs and ceilings of multiple houses. The cliff's shade must give a relaxing shade in the summertime when the residents fancy a break from the sweltering heat, but it must get frustrating to always feel like you're in its shade both literally and reputationally. Allegedly, it's a safe cliff, but if I lived there, the thought that a boulder or rock could fall and crash into my dinner table would always be close to the back of my mind. Sealand de las Bodegas is definitely not the most conventional places to live, to say the least. Number 10. Casa do Penedo, Portugal. If you were a postman in the north of Portugal, you might be forgiven for not seeing the Casa do Penedo if it was on your delivery list. This remarkable house was built by a Portuguese engineer from Guimarães, and what better location to choose to build a house than in between 4 large boulders? The boulders aren't just there to look quirky, they also serve as the structure's walls and ceiling. While it looks like something lost in time and straight out of a Flintstones episode,
Right.
The building, which translates to House of Rock, was actually built in only the 1970s. Talk about a name that's a little on the nose. It certainly blends into the landscape, even if it does look a little unconventional.
Right.
Of course, the whole house isn't entirely made from stone, with a metal door, wooden staircase, and windows obviously made of glass. There's something oddly beautiful about Casa do Penedo. The perfect blend of the stoic beauty of nature and the genius of human innovation and construction.
Now, I'm all for, living, in a town or whatever, surrounded by a lot of green, but something about this area just seems wild boring. Like, I don't know if I would want to live in this particular area. Like, I don't know. It's just something about this I just would not like. And then especially like the modeling of the house, I mean, I wouldn't want to live in a rock, as far as like this goes. But yeah, that's odd.
Number 9. Ponte Vecchio, Old Bridge, Florence, Italy. The medieval Ponte Vecchio Bridge in Florence, Italy is something special indeed. Constructed in 1345 to replace a bridge which had been destroyed by a flood, this is one of the few remaining bridges with houses on it. I wouldn't mind living there, to be honest. With its stunning views over the Arno River and the beautiful city of Florence, who wouldn't want to? Molto bene! The Ponte Vecchio is also known as the Old Bridge, which is accurate as it is the only bridge in Florence to survive the Second World War. The bridge used to be surrounded by butchers and various shops, but the meats and products used to smell awful in the hot sun. Finally, Ferdinand de' Medici got sick and tired of the stench and replaced all the shops with goldsmiths in 1593 by...
Now, Italy is definitely like on the bucket list as far as, going overseas and, visiting places. Bora Bora is my number 1, just putting that out there. But Italy would definitely be, or it definitely is on the bucket list because I love Italian food, and why not, want to visit the origin of Italian food as a whole. So one day. And then as far as like this bridge with the little houses on top of it, it definitely looks nice being over the water. I could definitely dig that.
Passing a law banning them from the area. Nowadays, the goldsmiths are instead replaced with jewelers, which is still better than rotting fish. Seeing as we're in Italy, it's only right for the river to have a romantic twist. If you were to place a lock on the gate surrounding the bust of the sculptor Benvenuto Cellini and throw away the key into the Arno River beside it, your love will be eternal. How sweet, but that can't be great for the river. I wonder how many fish were given a concussion from a falling key. Number 8. Matmata, Tunisia. I thought only moles lived in burrows, but I guess I assumed wrong. In the underground village of Matmata in Tunisia are an array of dwellings which are unconventional, to say the very least. Rather than living in a house, the indigenous people here have decided to live in cave-like homes. But there is a method behind the madness other than sentimentality to the past. By being underground, the inhabitants avoid the majority of the sun's blistering heat. So rather than be constantly covered in sweat and craving a drink of water, some still choose to reside here after all these years. Matmata was made famous thanks to the little-known franchise of Star Wars films, which used the dwellings as the location of Luke Skywalker's home. As you'd imagine, the place hasn't gone unnoticed by fans of the franchise, who flock to Matmata every year to get a glimpse of the location. The locals aren't complaining, as all of this interest translates to cold, hard cash in local tourism, with Luke's home even nowadays being run as a hotel. Number 7. The world's smallest country, Sealand.
Never heard of it.
I know the countries England and Germany, but what about Sealand? Well, 12 kilometers off the coast of England is the little-known Principality of Sealand. Used during World War II, the multiple 4,500 tons Monsell forts were sunk into the ocean by England to keep an eye on their German foe. When it was abandoned by full-time staff in 1956, pirate radio stations across England flocked to this offshore community near Suffolk. Because of its location, it is immune to British law, as it is well over 3 miles off the British coast.
Right.
Paddy Roy Bates, the owner of Radio Essex,
Yeah, they're
moved and
skateboarding.
seized Sealand and its rough tower in 1967. Paddy and his men got into trouble with the British law for firing warning shots at a passing British vessel, and ended up getting into a lengthy entanglement with a German crew that attempted to overthrow Paddy through abducting his son. Sealand has its own currency, passport, stamps, and even coat of arms titles, which you can buy online. During the Falklands War, the Argentinians even tried to buy the country. Their offer was refused. However, they did say yes to Red Bull creating a skate park on Sealand. Imagine the thought of, if you mess up your trick and fall off your skateboard, you could end up diving head first into the freezing North Sea. That would get you focused. Number 6. John O'Groats, Scotland. John O'Groats in Scotland is an extreme location, to say the least. Located at the most northerly point of mainland Britain, this small village is the starting point for a very famous walk called End to End. From O'Groats in Scotland, the walk takes you all the way to Land's End in Cornwall, which is only 876 miles away. No biggie then. Well, if walks aren't your thing, you may be able to appreciate the harsh, natural, local beauty.
Looks
From
nice.
untouched scenery to spectacular wildlife, which is probably a lot
very
more
chill.
diverse than you would think. The local animals include seals, dolphins, and even killer whales. Fascinatingly, you can even see the northern lights from near O'Groats. If you head to the nearby Caithness or search for clear skies over Orkney, then you'll be able to feast your eyes on the dancing, beautiful colors of the.
This is what I'm talking about. Want to live like in an area surrounded by green and water. It doesn't look boring. It looks very relaxing.
Isolation and freezing temperatures must take a bit of the charm out of things. Number 5. Viagena Soleil, Verona. Have you ever watched a plant rotate to face
Look
the
at all
sun?
that green.
It's quite
It's
fascinating, but also extremely weird to see a flower move as we perceive them to be stationary beings. Well, if it's weird to watch a plant move to face the sun, then seeing this building move will blow your mind. Architect Angelo Invernizzi came up with the concept for his Viagena Soleil, a house which opens up like a sunflower and turns to follow the movement of the sun. The wealthy Italian engineer of Genoa, Invernizzi, didn't just want a gimmicky house in an attempt to pretend to be a supervillain, he actually had a use for it. He thought that if he could follow the sun's beam, he would be able to harness its solar power and health benefits. Also, if the house rotates, then each room will have to perfectly share the same amount of sunlight and shade. This means
a dope
no
idea,
room will be
actually,
trapped in the shade, and no guest drained of vitamin D or the ability to see the sun from their room.
The modeling
I don't know
of the
about
house
you,
could have been
but
way
you
better.
would not want to stay in a house that's constantly rotating. What if the motor breaks and the house were to turn into a roller coaster? I feel queasy already. Number 4. Diocesan Shrine of Our Lady of Verona Crown. Some places look so tranquil and picturesque that they can almost come across as otherworldly. Diocesan Shrine of Our Lady of Verona Crown is certainly one of those places.
No way.
The fact that this place stands out spot amongst the northern Italian landscape really says something special. The sanctuary seemingly impossibly hangs onto the side of a mountain overlooking the valley of the Adige River. But
I couldn't do that. Like living on the side of the mountain and it's high up like that, like if you can do it, then hey, more power to you, but I just couldn't see myself doing that. I don't know. I'm be too paranoid for situations like that. I don't know. I couldn't do it.
More than just the positioning of the building, the actual architecture is just a pleasure for the eyes to feast on. Staying in this building must be an absolute delight. Just imagine a candlelit dinner over a glass of wine, looking out over this stunning Italian terrain without a care in the world. It sounds perfect. The great thing is the diocesan shrine of Our Lady of Verona Crown is open all year round, so it's always just sat perched, waiting patiently for you to arrive. All this talk about Italian food and scenery is making me want to book my tickets now. Anyone know where the nearest airport is? Number 3, Mount Fanzhishan. Imagine living on a mountain that's so high above sea level that at times you're literally engulfed in clouds. Sounds insane, right? Well,
Very.
That's the reality for inhabitants of Fanzhishan, or the more dramatic Mount Fanzhishan. Located in the Guizhou province of China, the place is not for the faint-hearted. While there is a big drop here,
I wouldn't be able to do that. Do y'all
views of beautiful
do y'all see that? Like, look.
Countryside to make up for it. The place is so stunning and precious that
I'm sure.
UNESCO has even...
Look at that. Just look. This one.
recognized it and included it on their prestigious list of World Heritage Sites, meaning it will hopefully grow in
Absolutely not.
and be around for the distant future.
Call it what you want
The
to, but
stunning
absolutely
rocky
not.
terrain may look like it's the home of the final boss in some video game,
Yeah,
but it's
I'm
actually
sure.
been used as a holy site by Buddhists since
All that
the
green
Tang
does look
Dynasty.
nice, but
Mount
too
Fanzhishan
high.
is also
No
the
way.
only remaining Buddhist temple out of the 48 created between 1368 and 1644 during the Ming Dynasty in China, adding great historical importance to the stunning place. I don't know about you, but it looks like it'd be hard to get stressed in such a beautiful and
I'm
tranquil
stressed
spot.
out just thinking about just living that high.
Fanzhishan means Buddhist tranquility in Chinese.
They living higher than Snoop.
Number 2. Bozool, France. Imagine having a canyon outside your doorstep. If you were to be exploring the south of France, you might be astounded to come across a huge 300-foot horse-shaped canyon at the small commune of Bozool. Talk about standing out. There's literally a huge gulf between the neighbors and the local castle, Les Trous de Bozool. At least you won't have to complain about late-night noise, as you'd be too far away to even hear each other shout.
Right.
The trough is perfect for defense, as you've probably guessed. Unless you approached from the south, the first village and its castle would be perfectly protected from enemy attacks back in the day. Now we're in the modern era, where the threat of invasion's not so prominent. So I'm sure the biggest hassle would be making sure you don't fall down into the deep overgrowth after you've had one too many drinks on a night out. Having a castle in a canyon next door would be quite a cool adventure to explore on days out as a local kid. Although you'd probably be concerned at first that your neighbor in the nearby isolated castle was a vampire. Thankfully, France is known for its garlic. Number 1. Pajama Castle, Slovenia. Have you ever heard of a castle being built inside the mouth of a cave? Pajama Castle in Slovenia has been built directly from a rocky cave mouth located in the village of Pajama. Mentioned in the year 1274, the Renaissance castle was built in the mouth of the cave to make access to the castle difficult for invaders.
I can imagine.
This fairy tale castle has certainly withstood the test of time, as it's been hanging on a 123-meter high cliff for the past 800 years. Whoever constructed this architectural masterpiece deserves a pat on the back, although I've got a slight hunch they may have passed on by now. As well as being the largest cave castle in the world, the Pajama Castle contains a few secrets of its own behind its well-protected walls. The castle wasn't just built into the side of a cliff as part of a fun gimmick in the hope of one day making our list. There is a practical reason. Behind the castle's front is a network of secret tunnels used by the Knight Erazem of Pajama to go about his expeditions in incognito.
It definitely gives that invitation-only type of feel. You know, everybody can't come here. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to slide up on me, you know what I'm saying, at my castle, you know what I'm saying, you definitely got to call. And the door ain't easy to access. So, you know, I said, I got to give you that information. So, stay put unless I tell you to come through.
Savior of the people going about their business in a maze of secret tunnels through a cave. Sounds to me like a 12th century version of Batman.
And look at that door.
Fewer gadgets and more horses and swords, however. Well, that's just made me really want to go traveling. While I sort out flights, let us know in the comments section below which place interests you the most. And
alright, y'all. That was 15 strangest places where people actually live. I definitely haven't heard of a lot of those places, so I actually, learned quite a few things during this this video. But if you like what you've seen, hit the like button, comment, subscribe, also share. Until next time, until we meet again, peace out.